Hey, hello, Victoria. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Doing very well. I am happy to have you here on the Reaching Heroes video series. I think I might call this series Amplify, but I'm not sure yet. So gonna I'm gonna take a poll or something and see if Amplify makes
Gonna,
sense.
all right.
Um,
Yeah.
but we're here today with Victoria Joseph. Victoria is a Navy veteran. She owns and has founded a business called Birds of a Feather Matchmaking with her
hmm
husband Ryan. So I'm going to give the floor to you here for a few moments, Victoria, so you can share your background and what you did in the military.
Yeah, that sounds great. So my military background, I joined the military or the Navy after high school in 2014. I lived in San Diego in Japan and I joined as an ABF. So I worked with aviation and fuel, but had various jobs, like primary flight control or admin jobs or, you know, just different varied things like that when I lived between San Diego and Japan. And I guess one of my accomplishments was I got a lot of accommodation. And while I was active duty, well, I joined the military to get my education paid for. So while I was active duty, I focused on my education as well. Like I did classes while on deployment and I got my associate's degree and I was almost done entirely with my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. And so when I got out of the military, I finished my bachelor's in cybersecurity and then I also got a master's. I got an MBA and I still have even some credits or some of my GI Bill left over if I decide to pursue education more, but I don't think I will. Because I
Okay.
initially was pursuing a career in cybersecurity. And I also kind of want to give a shout out to this program that is, well, I have a couple programs to give a shout out to that kind of are really great for those who need certifications. There's one called Onward to Opportunity, and the one I went to was in San Diego, and it's like a 3-day workshop, but they pay for a certification for you. And then I also want to give a shout out to the SANS Institute. They have a program called Vet Success, which is where they pay for three high level certifications for you in cybersecurity that are literally worth, I think, like 10 grand each. So it's a
Wow.
really great transition if you're trying to go into cybersecurity. Unfortunately for me, it didn't work out, but I wanted to use my business degree to start my own business. And so then the idea of matchmaking came to me and it came to me about almost exactly almost exactly 1 year ago now. I'm just realizing that because I was on my honeymoon in Iceland and we were road tripping and and then like pretty much how it started out was a screenshot of a matchmaker looking for clients was going around some of the group chats that I was in and I was like, that'd be a really cool gig. And so then I was looking into it. I interviewed matchmakers. I got certified in two different ways, and everything just kept like aligning so nicely. And upon my research, I noticed that a lot of matchmakers were turning down people who were kinky or into BDSM or non-monogamous. So I was like, well, I would take on those people. And so I've
Yeah.
been rolling with that ever since. And so now I'm the first certified matchmaker with a specialization for what I call non-traditional relationships. And that's either open, polyamorous, or swinger lifestyle relationships. So anything under the term of ethical non-monogamy, that's what I work with nationwide. But I also work with like not with traditional relationships local to the Chicago area for men and women. And then
Got
on
it. So there's a
top of
lot to
that is,
unpack. Lots to
yeah, lots
unpack
to
there,
unpack.
but I don't want to stop you. You were about to say something.
Oh, and then I was just in the other things that we offer was like we offer like dating coaching for men. My husband and I we do that together, and that's pretty much we go over the whole dating cycle. And yeah, so that's what we're rocking and rolling with, and it's going very well.
That's wonderful. I obviously um, going to gonna hit on the non-traditional relationships for a moment here because
hmm
that it takes a lot of courage to do something that goes a little bit against the grain, a
Yep.
little bit. You mentioned it. There's nobody else doing it. There's people that are getting turned away because they don't fit the profile of the other matchmaking services out there. So
Exactly.
this is a veteran-owned business that is doing something a little bit different because
hmm
there's obviously a need for it, and
Yeah,
this is a very inclusive program that you and your husband offer to help
exactly.
people find the lifestyle that they want to live.
Exactly. Yes. You nailed
So
it.
very admiring. I admire you and your husband both for doing something that's that's different that nobody
Yeah.
else wants to do. So my particular niche is working with veterans, especially veterans that uh, were one term up to maybe 2 or 3 terms, but didn't necessarily retire. And
Hmm.
that's a very specific focus as well. And a lot of financial advisors would tell you that you shouldn't have a niche. You should just work with everyone. And I feel like you can totally do more when you're focused in on something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, exactly. I think the quote's like, if you cater to everyone, you cater to no one. So,
Right.
because that's just so broad. So if you do have more specific niches or specialization, then you know where to go specifically, or it's just too overwhelming and you have too much ground to cover. So I'm with you.
Right.
Like it's good to have a niche or like a specialization.
You can
Just
be a
to
lot more efficient with your messaging, with your marketing, and with your approach with your clients
exactly.
if you have a specialization. So
Hmm.
um,
And
awesome
then you
that you
also get
found
your
it.
ideal clients that way too, when you
Yeah.
know who you want to work with.
Yeah. And then you have a lot more fun. You're going to have
Yes.
better
And you have
conversations.
lots of fun.
You're going to enjoy going to work. You're going to enjoy helping people because you found somebody that gives you that energy. So
Exactly.
um,
Yes.
so gonna back up on a couple other things here too. So you talked about
Hmm.
the accommodation award that you received in the Navy.
Hmm.
What was that for?
Oh. Um, I don't know. I can't remember the specifics, but I think it's
That's
just like
okay.
just being an overall good sailor essentially, and they recognized it at the time.
I'm with you. I looked at my DD 214 recently and I had a bunch of these things. And I was like, I don't know how I got that ribbon, but I
Yep,
have it. So there it
exactly.
is.
I was doing
So
something
that's
right
okay.
for a little while there, I think. So they're like, here you go.
Yeah. No, that's great that you had. Is that the Navy accommodation medal or is that something else?
I think it's just a letter of
Gotcha.
accommodation. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you mentioned vet success. So I certainly want to
Yeah.
make sure vet success and onward to opportunity. I want to make sure
Yeah.
we get those in the notes
Yeah.
for both the posting on social media and with the show.
Yes. Those are
And
both really great programs.
yeah, it sounds
It
like it. It sounds like it's very valuable for anybody
is.
that wants to get into cybersecurity, especially.
Yes.
Um, and you talk about Iceland. Iceland for the honeymoon.
Yes.
What was your favorite part of Iceland?
Oh, Iceland is just such a cool country. There was a lot of highlights. So like we saw well, so we were on the south part of Iceland, and pretty much we just went from Reykjavik to like Diamond Beach. And over there we saw like glaciers and like chunks of ice that were just stunning against like the black sand. That was just so cool. Like it really looks like you're out of a on a different planet in Iceland as far as like the landscaping goes.
Yeah,
And I found I found various fun activities to do in Iceland. So if I were to have some recommendations for people, it'd be like to visit. There's a penis museum in Iceland that's actually a lot more interesting than it sounds. Like it's
I've heard
about
of that. I've seen that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
um and then just seeing the Icelandic horses. And another really cool thing about Iceland that they have is that they have this like perfume shop that's actually it's a free thing that you can do where you walk in and I can find out the name of that after this just to be sure. But pretty much you can walk in and they have like artwork that's linked with a certain smell, and they have a poem that goes with it, and they read the poem. And as you're smelling this perfume, you can smell the things they're talking about in this poem. It's
What?
magical. It's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah. So, and
That's
then also
amazing
we
how the
saw like a
mind
lava
works too.
show. Then what?
It's amazing how the mind works
Yes.
when you're thinking these things and all of your different senses are coming together. So that's very
Yeah.
interesting. I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, and then we went to like a Viking museum, and then we also went to a lava show where they made lava in front of us. So we got like a little chunk of that after that cooled down. So lots of cool things to do in Iceland. We also tried to see the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. I think I pronounced
Yeah,
that
yeah, the
wrong.
Aurora
But
Borealis. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And we saw it very faintly, so I definitely need to go back somewhere cold to try to go see it more stunningly because we saw it from the aircraft a little bit that when we were flying to Amsterdam, but I want to see it again in person too.
Wow. Yeah, that's something I've never seen the Borealis. I'd love to check that out as well. I know my wife's very interested in seeing that. Um,
Yeah, very
and
cool.
You said Reykjavik. How do you
Yeah.
spell Reykjavik?
REY, like, I think
That's
KAV,
a tough
right?
one.
Oh, yeah, there it is. REYKJAVIK. That was definitely the thing too with Iceland. They spell their words a lot more
Very
different than we do.
interesting. Yeah, it's that's part of the fun. You
Yes.
can learn a bunch
Just
of
figuring it
interesting
all out.
ways to say things.
Yeah.
So very cool. So that sounds like an awesome trip. It's definitely one that I want to take. Um, want to go into what you're currently working on. You alluded to it with the business, but I guess what is your upcoming goals? What are you trying to accomplish today?
Um, for me, it's just pretty much getting the word out there about what I do because I am it's like I've been matchmaking for years, like anyway for fun. And then
Yeah.
this year I started to make a business out of it. So now it's just one of my the next steps would be just like social media stuff and putting my face out there, letting people know that I exist, essentially, networking. And then I'm also working on being a better speaker. So I'm a part of a networking group called Engage Speakers that I that's phenomenal. And so that's eventually a goal that I'm working towards is to because part of my business I want to have the educational element to it and educate people about ethical non-monogamy and all that it entails and pretty much just try to set people up for success as fast as possible because generally when people are even people who are veterans in the non-monogamy realm, it's everyone's interested in hearing everyone's stories and how they manage their relationships and moving forward. So those who are starting out brand new, they don't they're it's can be pretty overwhelming and a lot of it the answer is like you don't know until you try, but these are definitely options, these are success stories and then like all the different things that are important for a non-monogamous relationship and um because it's just different it's like between having a lifestyle slash swinging relationship, a poly relationship, or an open relationship is just different. They're all different dynamics and they all have different ways of being successful in that kind of way. So having the educational element to my business is definitely something I'm working towards. So eventually that's going to be courses and that's going to be more video content and all that. And something I do have in the works is I'll be coming up with like a 15-minute masterclass in regards to non-monogamy for those who may be interested in learning more about it. So that's in the making.
Wonderful. Well, it sounds like the education piece is going to be helpful. And for anybody out there that thinks non-monogamy is wrong, well, I think there's a lot of challenges within monogamy as well. I think that there's a lot of
Hmm.
work to be done there also.
Yeah.
So, um, like you said, don't knock it until you try it.
Don't knock it till you
Um,
try it.
it's definitely
Exactly.
not for everybody, but monogamy is not for everybody either.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
so to each his own, and everybody should be able to live and express themselves in their way. So
Exactly. And if they're
um,
not hurting anyone else, then I'm all for it.
yeah, and
People,
as you mentioned, you are focused on ethical. I'm going to stress the word
yes,
ethical uh,
ethical.
relationship practices, and you help people that in monogamous relationships as well.
Yeah, because
You have
the
yeah.
same things apply that can be beneficial for even a monogamous relationship and just pretty much like the ethical piece is just making sure everyone's aware, everyone's consenting. And even and pretty much with so it's short for ENM, ethical non-monogamy, is like having like strong communication skills. And that's like the easier said than done. And that's a struggle for even like monogamous relationships to be able to express their wants, needs, desires, or just to have open dialogue, open conversation without having repercussions. And so that's definitely an element to it that I share with everyone that would be beneficial for everyone because you have to have really strong communication to have a successful non-monogamous relationship.
Right. So these apply like you said, this applies everywhere. So,
Yes.
okay. So getting the word out, education,
Yeah.
and becoming
And I'm also
a
looking, oh yeah. And then
oh
so
yeah,
with me as well, I'm also looking to add singles to my matchmaking network. So those who are even like, and that could be anyone who might be open to relocating for love. That could be anyone who is single or also I guess in my experience, like if you're in a couple and you're looking to be a triad and be a throuple in that sense, I guess that too. But anyone who is single, I'm interested in having you in my matchmaking network because you just never know where connections could lead, especially if it's local or nationwide. Matchmakers are very collaborative in that sense. And so if anyone is listening who's single who wants to be a part of a network of and be connected with potential clients or other other matchmakers, then apply to my matchmaking network on my website at birdsofaFeathermatchmaking.com.
Very good. I was just thinking about this because I've got my financial brain going right now. I was
Oh
thinking
yeah.
about how much more common this lifestyle could become in
Hmm.
communities because of the
Yeah.
how much how much you can help if you've got a throuple or you have a
Yeah.
relationship that is with multiple people
Yep.
living in one household and you have multiple incomes coming in.
Yep.
Um,
In this
it's
economy.
life is getting more and more expensive. So
Yeah.
if that is a lifestyle that you're potentially interested in, that could be financially beneficial if you
Yes,
do it
it could
ethically
be.
and you do it the
For
right way.
sure. Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about the dollar signs.
I love
Um,
that. I love that. Yeah,
but
definitely.
but yeah, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, whether they're in relationships or not, I think a lot of people are moving in together, like the show Friends,
Yeah.
with the way they did that. I mean, that's happening again. People are trying to
Yeah.
save money every way they possibly can.
Yeah.
So, and you were
And then
about to
also
say
wanted to
something.
backtrack what you were saying where this is up and coming because I do want to give it I do want to make a note that like other matchmakers, it's becoming more progressive, which is awesome. So there have been other matchmakers that have polyamorous couples, and then there's like another like and we're all in different areas, and it's kind of balancing out really nicely that they're also working with non-monogamous people too. But as far as like the certification goes with the specialization, that's where I'm the first one doing that. So in the Chicago
Gotcha.
area, so yeah. So
Well,
it's
there's
up and coming. So if you're on the ballpark about it, like it's definitely progressive, and also a lot of the dating apps now have the option to pick that they want to be non-monogamous. So it's definitely
it's
progressing.
there.
It's there.
It's not in the shadows anymore.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many interesting things happening in progressive ways, like with psilocybin treatments in mental health therapy for veterans. I
Yes.
mean, that's another one that was taboo for so long that now all of a sudden it's becoming commonplace. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of interesting things that are just coming into the light now.
Yeah.
So that and you also mentioned that you wanted to become a stronger speaker. So
Yes.
you mentioned engaged speakers. Tell me a little bit
Yes.
more about that.
Engaged Speakers in Illinois is a networking event full of business owners, entrepreneurs, or people who are looking to expand their network and make connections with people who are expertise in their fields. And it's a phenomenal networking event. I think they have less than 10 chapters right now, but they have a goal to reach 100 chapters nationwide and within 3 years. And
Wow.
basically, it's really cool because um, for various reasons, like whenever you go to network events, you do like a little bit of speed networking, and then there's someone who talks for 5 minutes for like that's like a success nugget, and then there's another person that talks for about 20 minutes, like their signature talk. And I love it because like I said, everyone's like expertise in their field. So they're when they're talking, they're very passionate about what they're talking and they're very good about it. So you learn all sorts of topics. Like it could be like there's a woman who was like who's making jewelry in third world countries to help women there. And there's someone else who had a topic about breast cancer, and there's another topic about marketing using memes, and there was a talk about there's like a life coach and how to like utilize like manifesting in your life to make it better and all sorts of topics like that. It's a lot of fun. And people there are so nice. Everyone just wants everyone to succeed because everyone does want to be a better speaker. So they know everyone's starting out with like the fear of public speaking. So they're like, you got this. So you get coaching. You can get coaching on demand um, at some places, and then they even help you come up with a signature talk for free. That's
Okay.
also like a 15 to 20-minute talk. So they help you coach through that. And on top of that, they have global business advisors that you can talk to for free for 30 minutes that cover, yeah. So that's a very, very
Wow.
valuable piece of the networking event or the networking group is that you can talk to people about branding, you can talk to people about sales, you can talk to people about like any kind of coaching you're interested in, and they talk to you for free for 30 minutes. So
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I am
I
definitely a
I'm
fan.
certainly a group that I need to look up. It's something that I can benefit from. So okay.
Yes. Yeah,
So
actually.
that's a pretty good focus for right now. There's a lot of irons in the fire that you're
hmm
trying to get strong and
And then the other
so
networking group
yeah.
too, roll call that I mentioned to
Oh,
you
roll
before.
call.
Remember? Yeah, for
I do
veterans.
recall. Yeah. Is that
Also really great.
ROLL?
Yep.
Yeah, tell me more about that one.
So I need to go to more of those events, but they're just a bit of a commute for me. But I when I went to the events, they were fantastic. They're free for veterans, and either there's veterans there or there's people who are looking for veterans to hire. And also fantastic, also kind of had like a speech, but everyone there was like super awesome, like networking and like I got so many contacts from there because I had actually I had initially went in there. So when the cybersecurity thing wasn't working, I was like, okay, let me try project management. And so between I was thinking about being a project manager and also a matchmaker at the same time. But then when I was telling people that, all anybody wanted to talk to me about was matchmaking. So then that's when I'm like, okay, this is a sign. And
That is a
so
sign.
between the two of those, I got connections from there, and I got a lot of support from the guys that I met and the women. And pretty much after the networking event there we were having such a good time, like they wanted to continue socializing. So then we all just like hung out at the restaurant that we were all at and just continued the evening from there after the networking event. So it was great. I would recommend that again. I need to go to those more. So those two networking events in Illinois, I specifically want to give a shout out to for sure.
Oh, for sure. I was looking up roll call and I saw that there wasn't anything scheduled upcoming at the moment, but
It's like
sounds
about
like
one, I think it's
there
like
should be
once a
something
month,
soon.
once or
Okay,
twice a month, I think. Yeah.
got it.
It's
Yeah, because
on
I'm looking forward to
Eventbrite.
that.
Yeah.
Eventbrite. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's a big one. I think anybody, at least in the Illinois area, the Chicago area, can take advantage of. And I'm sure these are happening nationwide as well. I mean, it's something that I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm
dig
sure.
deeper into. So,
hmm
okay. And yeah, well, that was probably a really energizing conversation too. When you realized that everybody was asking you more about matchmaking than
Yes.
project management, they were more
Yes.
interested on that particular thing. So, like you said, it was a pretty indicating clue. So, um,
Yeah.
when you think about the future and what your goals are,
hmm
tell me about that. Tell me about what you see on the horizon.
So what I see on the horizon, I do well as offering the boutique service of matchmaking where it's very hands-on, where I'm the executive recruiter. I also want to create a long-term goal would be to create a specific membership for those who are polyamorous. So because a lot of polyamorous people already have partners and the the cost of matchmaking doesn't really make it worth it to them. So I wanted to create like a service where it's like still matchmaking for polyamorous people, but it's at like a more affordable scale. And coming up with something like that, it's kind of like a long-term goal of mine, as well as speed dating events and or like social events that I want to put together. And then there's like I'll have to like maybe oh yeah, so the poly meetup or not yeah, poly meetup. The polyamorous idea is something that's up and coming, as well as like other ones who are maybe having different platforms based on the different dynamics. So like a platform for those who are like in a swinger lifestyle who are interested in that relationship dynamic more than the poly. That might be like a long-term goal that I'd like to see where that might go. But anything pretty much, I guess, under the non-monogamous realm, creating like a platform for that. So these are ideas. Nothing has quite started. It's like in the brainstorming session, but that would be cool, as well as speaking engagements and I'm trying to think what else. Yeah. So I think just like speed dating, events, speaking engagements, online platforms. Oh, and then just the educational pieces, right? And then the courses and then blogs and the social media content. So all that stuff is
Yeah.
eventually things I'm working towards. So just a lot, I want to put out a lot of value to people and just help as many people as I possibly can with their
Yeah,
journeys.
that's wonderful. So right now you're just laying all the framework,
Yes.
and the future goal is to build your tribe and
Yeah.
get the build your community for and offer different types of events. Speed dating
Mm-hmm.
sounds really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Memberships and obviously you mentioned speaking engagements is very important to
Mm-hmm.
you. So and this is all for the non-traditional relationship community.
Exactly. Hmm.
Perfect. And last question. If you could go back in time to a younger version of yourself to give yourself advice, where would you go? What time frame? And what would you tell yourself?
Yeah, I that was such an interesting question because I guess there's a few different answers to that, but like the one that resonates with me the most is like I just don't know. And I say that because everything that's happened to me prior has led to me being right here with me right now. So I guess maybe one thing that I could have helped myself with, I guess I could go back to the I guess in the Navy, I would say when I was new is don't let the negativity affect you. Oh, you know what? I know what I would tell myself that I didn't really connect when I was younger in the same kind of thing is that people who are unhappy project their unhappiness onto you and to focus on not letting that affect you so much because, that happens to everybody where everyone it's like they're having a bad day and they're projecting or they're yelling at you, they're projecting or anything like that. That's their own personal struggles that they're going through. And if I had known that it's not I would have taken a lot less things personal and it probably would have helped me in the long run. And then honestly that's in so many different places of my life. Like that's in high school when you're getting, maybe you're getting bullied or like you're in the Navy and you're trying to figure out who you're trying to get along with. So if you just recognize that if you stop taking things so personal, you'll be a lot happier. And also knowing that it's on them because they're projecting is what I would say.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a huge lesson. I wish I would have known that when I was
yeah.
first getting started on the submarine.
Yeah.
Submarine was a hostile environment when you're new, when you're showing up. So very similar to what you experienced,
Yep.
I'm sure. And I mean, yeah, I mean, someone's having a bad day, somebody just isn't happy. They've been going through some kind of terrible moment or the moments in their life, and yeah, they're just taking it out on you, and it has nothing to do with you. It has
Has
everything
nothing
to
to do
do
with
with
you. Yep.
yeah,
That's a
and
lesson even for today. That's a lesson for past, present, and future. Like anyone who's unhappy and they're putting all that negative energy on you, they're projecting because they're going through struggles themselves and has nothing to do with you.
they still shouldn't do it,
They should not do it. So, but being
but we
self-aware that
also
you're doing it helps a lot
yeah,
too. Like, okay, I'm having a bad
yeah,
day. I'm lashing out, and I'm like, okay, let me take it back a minute. So, just realizing the whole projecting and not taking it personal, but also being aware when you're doing it because you don't know when you're doing it. You're just expressing your feelings, but it's also like you're doing more harm than good. So
that's
that would
right.
be a piece I would have liked to have known a lot earlier in my life.
Not everybody's going to turn the other cheek. Some people are going to hit back. So
Yes, that too. They will hit
so
back.
well,
Exactly.
it's certainly been a great conversation, Victoria. I definitely want to have you back on with you and your
Yes,
husband
I'd
to
love to come
talk
back
more.
on.
That would be great just to see how things are progressing in the future. Um, and like I mentioned before, your information, how to find you, how to get into your community. That
Yes.
information is going to be in the show notes, and
Excellent.
along with a lot of the other resources that we mentioned. So thank you
Awesome.
so
Well, I
much.
hope that benefits somebody, anyone who listens. Definitely check out all the wonderful benefits we have as veterans and definitely take advantage. Don't you don't have to have pride to use all these benefits that are to us. I definitely tell people like use them. They're there to be used and they will help you progress in your life in any which way you want to. So, yeah.
That's right. And we're just here to put the light on them. So here
Yeah.
we are.
I did the research, so here's a one-stop shop to find some stuff for you.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.